Good evening, everyone. This video is going to be a trading review and support session for March the 23rd, 2022. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go through the daily real quick because that was some information today, and that was what I wanted. There it is. Okay, so when we came in today, I mean, it was already a red bar, right? Wasn't too far down, but it was a red bar, and not really surprisingly, since it had been up for 1, 2, 3, 4 days straight, kind of went sideways, went up again, and then it decided to come back down to earth, and so it has pulled back now to pretty close to the 200-day moving average, maybe a little bit lower than that as we speak. And so what really wasn't much news. The new housing numbers came in, and it wasn't a new housing sales came in. It wasn't a positive number. So here's where we're opening already down around the S1. Here's yesterday's low. So here's the opening area here. All right, so we kind of let it do its thing somewhat. And it was kind of a low volume day, so I was going for 5 ticks with the trend and maybe about 4. If I was going counter trend, I think one time I was adjusting it, then I think I only got 3. So here's the first trade, right? So it was above the open, but it had hit this high once and that high once and failed to make that high. So the third attempt to go higher, it failed. And the minute average and the things were just kind of breaking down here. So I took that trade, and that one worked out. Continued to come down here under S1. Took this trade, that one worked out. This one, maybe it could have come down, but it was already starting to bounce a little bit. As you can see, it was above. I mean, so it was good bars down coming from S1 and underneath the 2-minute close. But it was above, this magic thing that we're doing, kind of magic. It's all mathematical. But, it did not penetrate yet the Ultraflex. And Ultraflex was kind of going up. So I had to keep it. We were definitely underneath the fast zone and even the slow zone, and then the slow zone as well. So I added to it here and kind of got out down here. So I managed to pull it off just because I was kind of sticking with the trade and because it was underneath the zones. Then I chased this one a little bit too far. All right, so the time to market just popped suddenly. Time to take this trade. I mean, it really wasn't any volume, but I took it pretty too late and actually into the all session low. Kind of watching it, and this time, right, it kind of gave us a pretty big bar here, so I reversed here, right? So I only had one, added to it here, and was out over here. So I added to it the third time just to get it away from S1. So profits are starting to pick up a little bit, add up, and so and then here, right, back underneath S1. Right in the back underneath everything. So and the minute average was a hit. The fast flex was bending over pretty nicely this time, so I took the short. That was a pretty quick trade there. And then interestingly enough, I took this trade. Oh, and got out pretty quickly. I'm sure I only took this one for a point or so, but got out of this one. That one, well, I had a couple of it was coming from yesterday's low 1, right? It did not make a lower low, right? So it was kind of holding, kind of had some expansion going on, and the Ultraflex had already curved, right? So that's not too bad. I mean, it was still kind of going into fast flex, so it's a little bit aggressive, but it worked. Next one over here, right? It did come back. It did actually make a lower low, but again, kind of turning back up. This is kind of push time frame, right? And got that trade out. Ultraflex is definitely faster. And then here we are waiting on the 7 o'clock news, and comments will be made. Waiting on the news, we missed a couple of trades. At least I got this one, but we missed some trades in here because we were kind of nervous about the news. Then the news came in, and kind of nervous here, kind of before the news. So I let it bounce up. It didn't really, it only really got up to this area, which pivoted multiple times today. So and it got in the this is a lower high, and so I took the trade here and got out. So profit still mounting, and I guess I wasn't ready to trade through here. Didn't really like it. I haven't stopped trading yet. I guess I just didn't really want to push it too much. My profits were already starting to mount up, and I didn't want to trade into the slow zone. But I did take a trade here because I guess I was kind of feeling bad about the market might be kind of bad. Got close to the minute average here, but not quite. So I took a trade here, right? It did not work, right? It's coming back through. So here I can say, well, if it's going to come up here and break VWAP, I better be interested in reversing. So I reversed here, added to it here, and out there for profit. And let's see, here's at least one more trade. No, maybe at least two more trades. This one was a little bit marginal, right? So now we're above the zones, right? We had above mid S1, and the minute average is holding, but this entry here was, what was wrong with it? Well, it's right into mid S1, so not a great trade. Should have let it pull back and maybe enter in over here again, where it's it's kind of coming back, right, and making a push to go back higher. So but anyway, I did get out. I held in there. Was going to add to it if I needed to. Didn't really want to, just in case it changed its mind, and so I just got out with the profit right there. And then I think there's one more trade in here. Yeah, okay. So kind of got stuck in here again. All right, so there's a high here, right? So I'm watching it, and this is the 2-minute high from over there, right? So, and here's another pivot, and it actually is, it did make a lower lows here. So it really is kind of going and drifting down. But I got an expansion here, and the Ultraflex is turning, so I did give it a try here. It just didn't work, and it was looking like maybe the minute average was going to hold. So I even added to it again a little bit here, and it's above Ultraflex and it's above Fastflex, but it didn't hold. So I did had to reverse. So I reversed right essentially where the letters are, right before the 2x20. It was definitely starting to sell by that time, and then I added to it, and I'm out over here. I couldn't quite tell from my chart. I know one time, I got out of 2 and I got out of 1 down here. I couldn't find if I added to it again, so I must not have, but I kind of had that as a memory for some reason today. Maybe it was yesterday. So that was the last trade of the morning, right? And I was up 12.25 points on a pretty low volume day. I did trade. I stopped trading at that point because I noticed, for whatever reason, the midline wasn't showing. On this chart, it was not showing. It's showing on my chart. Strange problem. So I spent the rest of the morning looking at it, and I did find a way to make it print, which is kind of weird. Even saying that's a little bit weird. The problem was this particular chart around midnight, the data was a little bit weird, and the midline going across midnight did not reset, so it kind of got stuck. And it didn't recalculate again after midnight. So it kind of was and wasn't a software problem. That part of the software hadn't changed since 4.2, which is why I added 4.2 back to the chart. 4.2 had the same problem, only on this chart, right? Only on this chart, not just EP, but on this chart. So anyway, I was able to go back and adjust the software to make it robust, right? It needs to be as robust as it can, so that doesn't happen doesn't happen again. At least that won't happen. So indicate we're back to having pretty close to releasable software. I need to watch it a little bit more. And so today is Wednesday. So I mean, for sure this weekend. I mean, maybe not before this weekend, but for sure this weekend. If it is this weekend, it'll be early this weekend, so that you can adjust it, adjust all your charts, and be ready to go on Monday morning. All right, so that's kind of the review of the day. Even on low volume days when we used to not get much at all, we're still raking in some points, concentrating on speed. And there were other pretty good trades available. It's just that I didn't necessarily have the time, since I was looking at software, to be able to do it. All right. So any questions on that at all, or any other questions? Okay, I can. Okay, so the question is, explain the fast and slow zones, and basically it's just a way to visualize what's going on. So the fast zone is at this point, the fast zone is everything between the minute average and the 2x20, right? Because those are the two faster moving averages. The slow zone is between the midline. I'll make this one yellow. Between the midline and the fast zone. It's possible that the midline is going to be up here, right? So the slow zone could be here, and let me try to find a case where it's above. It's not going to be early. It's going to be late. Midline's still there. Let's see if it died. See, the midline is still coming up. Still coming up. Now it's starting. Okay. So in this case, right, so the same shading here, right? So this is the fast zone that's shaded, and now the slow zone is going to be between here. Now, I used to have, and you can still do it if you want to, you could shade the slow zone as well. Let me just turn it on so you can see what it would look like. And this is in the new version of the software, not the one you have. So right now I have show slow zone set to false. I'm going to set it to true, and you'll see a little darker shading happen here. All right, so hopefully you can discern that. So this is black, and this is a, not black, but you can at least distinguish the shade. And this is on my upper monitor, so I think if you were looking at it directly, it would you could be able to tell the difference more. I'm not looking at it directly. I'm looking up at this monitor. So, but since so switching to UltraFlex and FastFlex, I want to focus on speed, right? So in the area of speed, I really only want to look at this fast zone, and if I'm above or below the fast zone. So I don't care as much. I mean, I'm going to be able to see the midline if it's anywhere close, but I don't want to get my eyes caught up in shading, if you know what I mean. So the standard, the default is going to be set the slow zone to false, and it's just going to free up the shading in your eye a little bit, so that you've got more black, solid black area, and you're not worried too much about that. So there really isn't too much of a video that it's just there's not adding. The only thing it's really adding in is a shade. Well, yeah, that's what it's kind of to get to. The only difference is it's just a shade, so that your eyes, for me anyway, your eyes pick it up. Hey, I'm in this zone. I'm paying attention to the zone. I'm still watching Ultraflex and Fastflex, but I need to be careful if it's coming up to the zone, right? It could bounce back down like it did multiple times, right? Right? So it's coming up to the zones. It's kind of easing its way back down, right? In this case, it went through the zones, kind of going back down. This case, it kind of went sideways for a while at about 9 o'clock, right? Broke up out of the zones, right? Kind of pulled back up into the zones, and now selling again, right? Selling from the top of the zone, coming back down. All right, so here we're above the zones. All right, so we should be more interested in long signals, right? So kind of going through here, up to 2 by 200. So for me, it does help. It's just a visual tool, No necessarily. You can make some hard and fast rules if you choose, right? If it's above the fast zone, only go long. Unless it's really gotten really high, and then maybe you could entertain a counter trend trade, of which if it's above the fast zone and you take a counter trend trade short, that is, I mean, if you take a short trade, that is going to be counter trend. And what I have been doing, if I do take that, and I don't mind taking them, I don't stretch it for profits too much, right? So it's more like I'll go for a 4-tick profit. Just the last couple of days, because of the light volume, the first day, like yesterday, I went for 4 ticks, profits on everything. But it looked like that was a little bit extreme. It looked like it stretched it out a little bit. So today I went for 5. Tomorrow I just may go for 6. I don't care, unless the market is dead. And by dead, I mean not moving, not just volume, but dead. So just kind of take a look at it. And you can kind of see. For me, it's a visual clue. Did that help, Sean? I think it just builds a little bit of confidence factor. In addition to Ultraflex, that you're going in the direction. I mean, of course, the market is going to wiggle around, but it's just kind of a confidence factor to literally sometimes just kind of stay with the market, because sometimes, like a couple times today, right, it was kind of going back up, but I was still underneath the fast zone, so I just kind of hung in there a little bit and got my profit. Any other questions? If you're typing in a question, I'll let you finish typing, and I'll give you just an update real quick on my new antivirus. So I did switch. I'm not sure if you heard me or not. Okay, I did switch to my trading computer today. I mean, I switched it yesterday just to watch it, but I traded with it today. So I did switch it away from Kaspersky and to Bitdefender. So Bitdefender is running on this computer now. Seems to be okay. I've still got probably 3 weeks left before my trial is up, but it looks okay. This is probably the way I'm going to go, just to let you know. Trend change. one of the things I liked about this is I'm able to do the exclusions, the application exclusions, to tell the antivirus to not mess with it. So, and I could do that with Kaspersky as well, right? So tell it to not mess around with multi-charts, right? So don't bother multi-charts when it's running. And Bitdefender also allowed me to select CQG server, right? So it shouldn't be looking at the data stream coming in. And Kaspersky did not do that. Kaspersky listed the applications separately, right? And Bitdefender, it's not quite as convenient, but you can actually set any different executable file on your system for it to not apply all of its rules and that kind of stuff. So you may want to see with that with yours, right? If you're able to exclude an application. If not, then that might be something you can look at. Are you still using yours? Okay. Yeah, I mean it's good. It's a good program. Are you able to exclude multi-charts in it? Okay. Well, it could be, sometimes it's a little bit buried in there. You may want to ask them, or look at the manual. I knew I wanted to do it, so I had to learn how to do it. Alrighty, that's going to be it for this evening then. If you have any other questions, shoot me an email or something like that. And if not, we'll see you in the morning. Yeah, I mean, just look through the application to see if it has that feature. If it has that feature, then yeah, add it. I would say add it. Okay, have a good evening. See you in the morning.